When they sat me at the corner of my own birthday dinner, they didn't know whose credit card was holding the reservation. I didn't go to that restaurant to be sidelined. I went to celebrate turning 62. I was the one who had called the restaurant. I was the one who put my card on file when they said they needed one for parties over 6. I was the one who said, "It's okay, they're my children." But I, who had raised Daniel alone after his father died, who had paid $1,500 for his first apartment security deposit, who had sent $800 when Brianna's car broke down, who had contributed $2,000 to their wedding rehearsal dinner. I was not worth a seat in the middle. I stood there in that corner chair next to the coats and the wall, while my son told stories to everyone else and my daughter-in-law arranged plates for Instagram. The pearl earrings I had worn specially caught the light every time I tried to lean in to join the conversation. The pink dress I had pressed that morning suddenly felt too formal, too hopeful, too much like I had expected to be celebrated. For days I had planned what I would say when they toasted me. I had imagined Daniel standing up, maybe getting a little emotional, telling everyone how I had worked 2 jobs to put him through college. I had bought a small gift for my granddaughter Emma, thinking she could give it to me at the table. A child's drawing always makes people smile at family dinners. I had even practiced my gracious face for when they inevitably posted photos, thinking about how nice it would be to finally be in the center of their social media instead of cropped out. All of that dissolved the moment I walked in and saw where they had placed my chair. At the end, away from the conversation, away from my son. And then, as I was unfolding my napkin, I heard Brianna whisper to Daniel, "Don't let her order too much. We're paying." But she didn't know whose card was on file. I watched them all evening. I watched Brianna tell her friend on speakerphone, "Yeah, we're taking my mother-in-law out. We're paying. We always treat family right." I watched Daniel say to his brother-in-law Marcus, "Yeah, Mom's retired. She doesn't go out much, so we wanted to do something nice." I watched everyone order steaks, cocktails, the $45 lobster, mac and cheese, all of them performing generosity with my money. The waitress kept glancing at me with kind, knowing eyes, the way women do when they recognize something is wrong but can't say it out loud. 2 hours later, when the bill came and Brianna announced loudly, "Yes, it's all together. It's my mother-in-law's birthday. We're paying." The waitress looked directly at me and said, "Ms. Cardaway, we still have your card on file from the reservation. Should I run it on your card?" The table went silent. Every face turned toward me. Brianna's mouth opened and closed. Daniel looked confused, then panicked. Marcus stopped mid-sentence. Even Emma looked up from her coloring. Your card?" Brianna stammered, her voice suddenly small. "Yes," I said calmly, dabbing my lips with the napkin. "I made the reservation. You didn't know?" I could have told them weeks ago. I could have mentioned it when the restaurant called to confirm, but older, smart women don't move like that. We let people show us who they are. We let them perform their little shows. And then, when the bill comes, we let them taste the truth. "You know," I said softly, looking at my son, "next time you invite the birthday person, you sit them in the middle." Brianna flushed. "Oh no, there were so many of us." "I understand," I said. "You put me where you thought I fit." I turned to the waitress. "Yes, dear, please run it on my card. I said I'd take care of tonight." Then I looked at Daniel. "But going forward, if I'm paying, I pick my seat." The ride home was quiet, not bitter, just clear. Because for 3 years, I had been saying yes before thinking. Yes to the apartment deposit. Yes to the car repair. Yes to the wedding costs. Yes to the couch Brianna said was not quite our style after I spent $950 on it. Yes to the $600 when she was between jobs for 6 months. Yes to the grocery gift cards, the trampoline park party, the new tires, the emergency root canal. I had kept a spreadsheet. Not because I wanted to throw it in their faces, but because I needed to see it myself, to understand why I felt so empty despite giving so much. The total was $23,147. Nearly $24,000 I had taken from Tom's pension, from my retirement savings, from the money my late husband left so I could live my last years in peace. And what was it all for? To be sat at the corner on my own birthday while they performed generosity with my money. That phrase Brianna whispered, "Don't let her order too much," awakened something in me that had been dormant too long. For years I had walked on eggshells, weighing every word, every gesture, every offer of help, hoping to earn a place at the center of my own son's life. I was the perfect mother, the obliging mother-in-law, the silent ATM who never protested when they treated me like I was invisible. But that night, sitting in that corner chair, I finally understood. I had taught them how to treat me by accepting bad treatment. I had funded my own invisibility. I had paid to be pushed aside, and I was done. If you're ready to enjoy this thrilling story, click subscribe right now and tell me where in the world you're listening from. Your support helps us bring more wonderful stories, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Now, let me take you back to where all the drama began. It didn't start with $23,000. It started with 50. Daniel was 23, fresh out of college, living in his first apartment with 2 roommates who never paid rent on time. He called me on a Tuesday morning. I was at work stocking shelves at the grocery store, my second job, the one I'd taken after Tom died to make sure Daniel could finish school without loans. "Mom," he said, and I could hear it in his voice, that tone, half apologetic, half expectant. "I'm really sorry, but I'm short on rent this month. Just $50. I'll pay you back next week, I promise." I said yes before he finished the sentence. I always did. That's the thing about being a single mother. You carry a guilt that has no name. You wonder constantly if you're enough, if you're doing enough, if your child will resent you for the things you couldn't provide. So when they ask for something you can give, even if it hurts, you give it, because maybe it will fill the gap where their father should have been. Tom died when Daniel was 14. Heart attack. One minute he was coaching Daniel's soccer team. The next minute he was gone. I became both parents overnight. I worked 2 jobs. I missed nothing. Not a game, not a concert, not a parent-teacher conference. But I always wondered if Daniel felt the absence anyway, if he looked around at other kids' families and saw what he was missing. So when he asked for $50, I gave it. And when he didn't pay it back next week, I didn't mention it. Because asking for it back felt like admitting I couldn't afford to give it in the first place. The 50 became 100. The 100 became 300. Then 500 for a security deposit because his roommate bailed. Then 800 for car repairs because he couldn't get to work without a car. Each time Daniel's voice had that same apologetic tone. Each time he promised to pay me back. Each time I pretended to believe him. The requests changed when he met Brianna. They met online. Within 3 months, she had moved in with him. Within 6 months, they were engaged. I met her at a Sunday brunch Daniel organized. "Mom, I want you to meet someone really special." Brianna was 26, 8 years younger than Daniel. She was beautiful in that curated way people are on social media. Perfect highlights, perfect makeup, perfect outfit that looked casual but probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. She took photos of her avocado toast before eating it. She called Daniel babe every other sentence. "Mrs. Cartaway," she said, extending her hand instead of hugging me. "I've heard so much about you." Mrs. Cartaway, not Mom, not Heather, please. Just Mrs. Cartaway, like I was someone formal and distant. We talked for an hour, or rather, Brianna talked and I listened. She told me about her job in marketing, her apartment in the city before she moved in with Daniel, her plans for their future. She showed me her Instagram, 40,000 followers, she said, mostly from her lifestyle content. "Your son deserves better than that apartment," she said at one point, scrolling through her phone. I've been looking at places in the suburbs, more space, better schools for when we have kids, but the deposits are killer, you know? I nodded. I knew. 2 weeks later, Daniel called. Mom, we found this perfect place, but we need first, last, and security. $1,500 total. I know it's a lot, but we'll pay you back. Brianna's getting a promotion soon. My sister Diana called me that night. She'd met Brianna at the brunch and had opinions. That girl sees you as a checkbook, Diana said bluntly. I watched her face when you paid for brunch. She expected it. She didn't even offer. They're just starting out, I said. We got help from Mom and Dad when we were young. We got $100 for wedding gifts, Diana said. Not $1,500 for rent deposits. There's a difference between help and enabling. But I didn't want to hear it. Because if I was enabling Daniel, that meant I had failed him somehow. That meant I had raised him to expect things instead of earning them, and I couldn't accept that, not after everything I'd sacrificed. So I gave them the $1,500. And when Brianna's promotion never materialized and she quit her job to focus on building her brand, I sent $600 a month for 6 months to help with rent. When her car broke down, I sent $800 for repairs. When they decided to get married, I contributed $2,000 to the rehearsal dinner. Each time, I told myself, they're just starting out. They'll find their footing. This is what parents do. But the truth I didn't want to face was simpler and more painful. I was afraid. Afraid that if I said no, Daniel would pull away. Afraid that if I set boundaries, I would lose him the way I'd lost Tom. Suddenly, completely, with no warning. So I said yes. Over and over. Even when my roof started leaking and I patched it myself with buckets in the attic. Even when my car made a grinding noise I couldn't afford to fix. Even when I canceled the trip to Italy I'd been planning since Tom died. The trip we were supposed to take together for our 30th anniversary. I opened a spreadsheet one night, just to see, just to understand why my savings account kept shrinking even though I lived so carefully. The number shocked me. $23,147. I sat there in my quiet kitchen, the cursor blinking next to that number, and I realized something terrible. I hadn't bought my son's love. I hadn't earned my place in his life. I had rented it. Month by month, emergency by emergency, I had paid for the privilege of being his mother, and the rent kept going up. The message appeared in the family group chat 3 weeks before my birthday. Daniel, we're taking Mom out Friday. I was sitting in my living room when my phone lit up. I stared at those words for a full minute, reading them over and over, afraid they might disappear if I looked away. Diana responded first. Finally. Brianna's sister, Ashley. So sweet of you guys. Daniel. Family first. Brianna. Can't wait to celebrate you, Mom. Mom? She called me Mom in the group chat. She never called me that in person. I felt something break open in my chest, something that had been locked tight for 3 years. Hope. Dangerous, foolish hope. They were finally doing something for me, not because I offered, not because they needed something first, just because it was my birthday and they wanted to celebrate me. I called Diana immediately. Did you see the chat? I asked. I saw it, Diana said carefully. They're taking me out, I said. To a nice place, I bet. Daniel said he's been doing well at work. Maybe they've finally gotten on their feet. Maybe, Diana said, but her voice carried that cautious tone she used when she didn't want to burst my bubble but also didn't want me to get hurt. For 3 weeks, I let myself imagine it. I pictured Daniel making a toast, maybe getting a little emotional the way he used to when he was younger and less guarded. I imagined Brianna posting photos with captions like, celebrating the best Emil, instead of just tagging me in the corner of group shots. I imagined Emma giving me a handmade card, the kind kids make with crayons and glitter. I went shopping. I found a pink dress on sale. $65, which was more than I usually spent, but it was my birthday. I deserved something nice. I got my hair trimmed and highlighted. I bought new shoes. I wrapped a small gift for Emma, a craft set I'd seen her eyeing at Target, thinking she could give it to me at dinner and everyone would smile at how sweet she was. The week before my birthday, the restaurant called. "Miss Cardaway, this is Giovanni from Bella Vista. I'm calling to confirm your reservation for 8 people this Friday at 7. I felt confused. I think there's been a mistake. My son Daniel made the reservation. Let me check. A pause. No, ma'am, the reservation is under Heather Cardaway. The number we have is yours. Is that correct? Yes, but... Wonderful. I just need to confirm we have a card on file. For parties over 6, we require authorization in case of no-shows. Do you have a card you can provide? My mind was spinning. Why was the reservation under my name? Had Daniel used my name because he planned to surprise me by paying, or had he... "Ma'am." "Yes," I heard myself say. "I can give you my card." I gave him the number. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation. Maybe Daniel had used my name as a surprise. Maybe he'd put his card down and there was a mix-up. Maybe I was overthinking it. That night, I tried to casually mention it to Daniel. "I got a call from the restaurant," I said when he answered. "They said the reservation is under my name?" "Yeah, Mom, it's all taken care of," he said quickly. "Don't worry about it. Just show up and enjoy yourself, okay? I gotta go. Brianna needs help with something." He hung up before I could ask more. I called Diana. "Something feels off." "When does it ever feel right with those two?" Diana said. "Maybe I'm being paranoid," I said. "Or maybe," Diana said gently, "you're finally paying attention." But I pushed the unease down. I wanted this to be real. I wanted one night where I was the center of their attention, the focus of their love. I wanted to matter more than the money I could give them. Friday came. I put on the pink dress, the pearl earrings Tom gave me. I practiced my smile in the mirror. I looked happy. I looked like someone who was about to be celebrated. I drove to Bella Vista with my heart pounding. The parking lot was full. I saw Daniel's car near the entrance. When I walked in, the hostess smiled and said, "Cardaway party? Right this way." The table was in the back corner, a good spot, private. I could see 8 chairs arranged around it. Daniel and Brianna were already seated at the center. To their right sat Marcus, Daniel's brother-in-law from Brianna's sister, and his wife, Kelly. To their left sat Ashley and her boyfriend, Tyler. Emma was next to Brianna, coloring. And at the far end, pushed slightly away from the others, was my chair. I stood there for a moment, taking in the geography of it, the way they were all angled toward each other, the way conversation flowed around the center, the way my seat was positioned, technically at the table, but apart from it. Only Emma looked up. "Grandma!" She jumped down and ran to me. I hugged her tightly, grateful for the excuse to keep my face hidden for a moment. "Mom, you made it!" Daniel said, glancing up from his phone like I'd interrupted something. I wasn't late. I was exactly on time. But the way he said it made me feel like I'd kept them waiting. "Yeah, sit here," he said, gesturing to the corner seat. "We saved you this one." Saved. Not, "We can't wait to celebrate you," or "We got you the best seat." Just saved. Like I was an afterthought they'd made room for. I sat down. I smoothed my dress. I tried to catch Daniel's eye, waiting for him to say something about my birthday, to acknowledge why we were here. But he'd already turned back to Marcus, finishing some story about work. And Brianna was rearranging the plates, tilting her phone to get the lighting right for photos. Nobody said happy birthday. Nobody asked how I was. I sat in my corner seat and unfolded my napkin, and that's when I understood. I wasn't here to be celebrated. I was here to be managed. The waitress appeared with menus, her smile professional and warm. "Good evening, folks. Can I start you with drinks or appetizers?" Before anyone else could speak, Brianna's hand shot up. "We'll do the calamari, the bruschetta, and the charcuterie board for the table." She paused, then added loudly, "And let's keep it reasonable tonight. We're paying." She glanced at me as she said it. A warning disguised as consideration. I looked down at my menu, my fingers gripping the leather edge tighter than necessary. The 3 appetizers she'd just ordered totaled $75. I knew because I'd studied this menu online 3 times, imagining what this night would be like. "Wonderful," the waitress said, writing it down. "And for drinks," Marcus ordered first, "I'll take the Macallan 12, neat." $22. Kelly pointed to the wine list. "The Pinot Grigio, please." $14. Ashley and Tyler went back and forth before settling on mojitos. $12 each. Daniel barely looked up from his conversation with Marcus. The IPA on tap. $8. Brianna held her phone up to the light, checking how the table looked through the camera. "French martini. Actually, no, make it Prosecco. The good one." $16. The waitress turned to me, and I saw something in her eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or pity. "Mom," Daniel said, finally looking at me, "what do you want to drink?" "Just water, please," I said quietly. "Come on, Mom." Brianna's voice shifted, became performatively warm. "Get something nice. We're treating you. It's your birthday." But her hand was on Daniel's arm, her fingers pressing slightly. I saw it. She saw that I saw it. "Water is fine," I said. "I'm not much of a drinker." The waitress nodded and left. Brianna immediately propped her phone against a water glass, angling it to capture the table setting. She took 5 photos, checking each one, adjusting the angle. "Perfect lighting," she murmured to Ashley, then louder, tilting the phone to get everyone in frame. "Family dinner with the best MIL." She typed rapidly, added emojis, hit post. This is going to get so many likes. I wasn't in the photo, just the table, the ambiance, the performance. Marcus launched into a story about his promotion, his voice filling the space. So the VP calls me into his office, right? And I'm thinking, what did I do? But then he says, "Marcus, we're moving you up to senior director." Kelly laughed, touching his arm. "Tell them about the salary." "6 figures, Marcus said, grinning. "Finally broke that barrier." Daniel leaned forward, animated. "That's incredible, man. What are the benefits like?" I cleared my throat softly. "Congratulations, Marcus. That sounds—" "The best part," Marcus continued, right over my voice like I was static on a radio, "is the company car, fully loaded. Tesla Model 3. They're delivering it next week." I closed my mouth. My words had evaporated into the noise. Under the table, something touched my hand. Emma had pushed her coloring book toward me. She'd drawn a picture, a table with stick figures around it. One figure stood apart from the others, smaller, at the very edge. "That's you, Grandma," Emma whispered, pointing with her purple crayon. "I put you next to the flowers because you like flowers." My chest tightened. The drawing was more honest than anything happening above the table. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," I managed. "Mommy said I have to be extra quiet tonight," Emma whispered, her voice smaller. "Because it's grown-up time." I stroked her hair. "You can always talk to me." The appetizers arrived in a choreographed procession. Brianna held up her hand. "Wait, don't put them down yet." She positioned her phone, took 7 photos from different angles, adjusted a napkin, took 3 more. "Okay, now." The waitress set down the plates with practiced patience. I wondered how many birthday dinners she'd watched turn into photo shoots. Brianna distributed the food like a general rationing supplies. Daniel got the biggest portions. Marcus and Kelly got generous helpings. Ashley and Tyler shared the bruschetta. She pushed the smallest plate of calamari toward my end. "Don't go crazy, okay?" she said. Her voice casual, but her eyes sharp. "Save room for entrees." I took 1 piece of calamari. My appetite had disappeared anyway. "Can I have some, Grandma?" Emma asked. "Of course, baby." I gave her 2 pieces. "Emma, don't fill up," Brianna said without looking over. Then to the table. "We should think about entrees soon. The kitchen gets backed up." She pulled out her phone again. This time, she answered a call on speaker without asking if anyone minded. "Hey, Jess. Yeah, we're at Bella Vista right now." Her voice turned sugary. "Taking my mother-in-law out for her birthday. We're paying. We always make sure to treat family right." I watched her mouth form those words, watched her perform this generous daughterhood for someone who couldn't see where she'd seated me, couldn't see her whispered warning about my ordering, couldn't see the reality behind the performance. Daniel jumped in, his voice matching her enthusiasm. "Yeah, it's nice to do something special for Mom. She's retired now, doesn't go out much, so we wanted to make tonight memorable. Doesn't go out much. Like I was elderly and isolated instead of 62 and perfectly capable. Like I needed their charity instead of their respect." "That's so sweet," Jess's voice came through the phone. "You guys are such good kids." Brianna beamed. She ended the call and immediately pulled up Instagram to check her likes. 43 already, she said to Ashley. "The algorithm is loving this." The waitress returned for entree orders. She had a small notepad, her pen ready. Marcus went first. The ribeye, medium rare, and add the lobster tail. $68. Kelly, the Chilean sea bass, $42. Ashley, filet mignon, medium, $55. Tyler, same for me, $55. Daniel didn't look at the prices. The New York strip with the lobster tail upgrade, $68. Brianna studied the menu like she was solving a puzzle. The sea base, and add a side of the lobster mac and cheese, $63 total. 6 people had ordered, $351 so far. The waitress turned to me. Her eyes held that same recognition. "I'll have the salmon, please," I said. $28, the cheapest entree on the menu. "You sure, Mom?" Daniel said, finally looking directly at me. "Get whatever you want, really. We got you." But Brianna's hand was on his forearm, her thumb pressed into his skin, gentle to anyone watching, but I saw the pressure. The silent communication. "The salmon is perfect," I said. "Don't forget to ask about sides," Brianna added. Then to the waitress, "The salmon comes with sides, right? She doesn't need to order extra?" The waitress's professional smile tightened almost imperceptibly. "The salmon comes with asparagus and roasted potatoes." "Perfect," Brianna said. My brain was calculating automatically. Appetizers, 75. Drinks so far, about 120. Entrees, 379. We hadn't ordered dessert yet. Total, $574. My meal, $28. I was paying over $500 to sit in a corner while they performed generosity with my money. The irony was so sharp it almost made me laugh, because I'd been here before, not at this restaurant, but in this exact dynamic. I'd funded their apartment deposit while they posted photos about finally having our own place. I'd paid for half their wedding while sitting 3 rows back during the ceremony. I'd bought them a couch while Brianna complained it wasn't quite her aesthetic. I had always been the invisible bank funding their visible success story. But tonight would be different. Tonight, I would let them order dessert, let them take their photos and make their toasts, let them perform their generosity all the way to the final curtain. And then I would let them discover who had been paying for the show. The waitress caught my eye as she collected the menus. She gave me the smallest nod. She knew. Women always know. The entrees arrived on heavy white plates, each one placed with ceremony. Steam rose from the steaks. The lobster tails were butterflied and glistening. My salmon looked small and modest by comparison. Marcus cut into his ribeye and groaned. "Perfectly cooked! This place knows what they're doing." Everyone agreed loudly, enthusiastically. The table filled with the sounds of eating, of satisfaction, of people enjoying an expensive meal. I cut my salmon into small bites. It was good, probably delicious, but I couldn't taste it. Everything in my mouth felt like cardboard. Halfway through the meal, a waitress at the next table approached with a small cake, a single candle flickering on top. She and 2 other servers began singing "Happy Birthday." Our table went quiet, watching. The birthday woman at the next table, maybe 65, with silver hair and a radiant smile, was surrounded by her family. Her daughter stood, wine glass raised, tears already streaming down her face. "Mom," the daughter said, her voice thick with emotion, "I don't even know where to start. You sacrificed everything for us. You worked 2 jobs so we could have opportunities you never had. You never complained. You never made us feel like we were a burden." She paused, wiping her eyes. "I hope we've made you proud. I hope you know how much we love you." The mother was crying. Her whole family was reaching for her, touching her shoulders, her hands, surrounding her with affection. "Happy 65th birthday, Mom," the daughter finished, "to the strongest woman I know." The table erupted in applause. People from other tables joined in. The restaurant staff stood back, smiling. I watched it all. Watched what a birthday celebration actually looked like. Watched a daughter see her mother. Watched a family show genuine love instead of performing it for social media. That should have been me. That should have been my night. I turned back to my table. Marcus was showing Daniel something on his phone. Ashley and Tyler were taking more selfies. Brianna was scrolling through comments on her Instagram post. No one was looking at me. 2 hours into my birthday dinner, and no one had said happy birthday to me. Not once. "Grandma?" Emma's voice was soft beside me. "Why are you sad?" I looked down at her. Those big brown eyes, so much like Daniel's when he was young, before he learned to look through me instead of at me. "I'm not sad, sweetheart," I lied. "Yes, you are. Your eyes look sad." She tilted her head. "It's your birthday. You're supposed to be happy." My throat closed up. I couldn't speak. Emma picked up her napkin and a crayon. She started drawing carefully, her tongue poking out with concentration. A minute later, she pushed it toward me. She'd drawn a birthday cake with lopsided candles. Above it, in wobbly purple letters, "Happy birthday, Grandma, I love you." Something inside me broke and healed simultaneously. This 7-year-old child couldn't spell yet, but she'd done what no one else at this table had thought to do. She'd acknowledged me. She'd seen me. "Thank you, baby," I whispered, folding the napkin and putting it in my purse. "This is the best gift I got tonight." Emma smiled and crawled into my lap, even though she was getting too big for it. She rested her head against my chest. "Emma, get down," Brianna said, not looking up from her phone. "You're too heavy for Grandma." "She's fine," I said, holding Emma tighter. The waitress appeared to clear plates. "Would anyone like to see the dessert menu?" "Absolutely," Marcus said. "Can't end a meal like this without dessert." The dessert menus came. More discussion. More photos of the menu. More performance. They ordered 3 desserts to share: chocolate lava cake, tiramisu, and panna cotta. $45 more. The desserts arrived without candles, without singing, without any acknowledgement that we were celebrating anything. I sat there, holding Emma, watching them dig into desserts with small spoons, dividing them up among themselves. Someone pushed a plate toward me with a small bite of tiramisu on it. "Here, Mom," Daniel said absently. "Try some." 1 bite. That was my birthday dessert. Marcus suddenly raised his wine glass. "I want to make a toast." My heart lifted involuntarily. Finally. Finally, someone would. "To Daniel," Marcus said, grinning wide. "To your promotion last month and your continued success. You're killing it, man." Everyone lifted their glasses. "To Daniel," I lifted my water glass because not lifting it would be too obvious, too bitter, too much like admitting that my heart was breaking. Daniel looked embarrassed but pleased. "Thanks, guys. I appreciate it." Brianna immediately raised her Prosecco. "And to family, to blessings, to having each other." "To family," everyone echoed, glasses clinking. I mouthed the words. They tasted like ash. No one toasted to me. No one mentioned that I'd turned 62 today. No one acknowledged the years I'd worked 2 jobs, the nights I'd stayed up worried about money, the sacrifices I'd made so Daniel could have the life that led to the promotion they were celebrating. I was the ghost at my own party. Emma had fallen asleep in my lap, her weight warm and solid against me. I stroked her hair and thought about Tom. What would he say if he could see this? He died when Daniel was 14, before he could see what his son would become, before he could see how our boy had learned to take without giving back. Tom's voice came back to me, a memory from years ago, sharp and clear. Heather, don't let people mistake your kindness for weakness. You have to teach them your value or they'll never learn. I hadn't listened then, but I was listening now. I made a decision in that moment, sitting in my corner with my sleeping granddaughter and my untouched tiramisu. I would let this night play out exactly as they'd planned it. Let them finish their desserts. Let them take their final photos. Let them believe they were generous hosts. And then I would let the bill arrive. I would let them discover that the woman they'd pushed to the corner, the woman they'd whispered about, the woman they'd ignored for 2 hours, that woman had paid for everything, not because I wanted revenge, but because sometimes people need to taste the bill before they appreciate the meal. The waitress appeared at my elbow. "Can I get you anything else, ma'am?" "No, thank you," I said. "I think we're ready for the check." The table was winding down. Dessert plates sat scraped clean except for smears of chocolate and cream. Marcus leaned back in his chair, patting his stomach. Kelly touched up her lipstick, using her phone camera. Ashley and Tyler were scrolling through photos, deciding which ones to post. Brianna's phone lit up with a notification. She checked it, and I saw something flicker across her face. Worry. Quick and sharp, before she smoothed it away. She leaned toward Daniel and whispered something I couldn't hear. He nodded, his jaw tight. Then he raised his hand to signal the waitress. My heart started pounding, but I kept my face calm. This was it. The moment everything would come into focus. The waitress appeared with a black leather billfold. She'd been serving us all night with professional grace, and I'd seen her kind eyes land on me more than once. She understood what was happening here. Women always do. "Will this be all together or separate checks?" she asked. Brianna's response was immediate and loud enough for neighboring tables to hear. "Together. We're paying. It's my mother-in-law's birthday, and we're treating her tonight." She said it like she was announcing it to the whole restaurant, like she wanted everyone to witness her generosity. The waitress glanced at me. Our eyes met for half a second, and I saw the question there. I gave her the smallest nod. "Ms. Cardaway," she said gently, "we still have your card on file from when you made the reservation. Would you like me to run the bill on your card?" The table went silent. Not the comfortable silence of a satisfied meal ending, the sharp, airless silence of a moment suspended, of breath held, of something breaking. Every face turned toward me. Brianna's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Your card?" The words came out small, confused, nothing like her confident announcement 2 seconds ago. Daniel's face transformed from relaxed to panicked. "Mom, what? What card? What is she talking about?" Marcus stopped reaching for his water. Kelly's lipstick tube froze halfway to her purse. Ashley and Tyler exchanged wide-eyed glances. Even Emma, still drowsy in my lap, looked up at me with curious eyes. I set down my napkin, smoothed it carefully against my leg, met my son's eyes. "Yes," I said, my voice steady, "my card. I made the reservation 3 weeks ago. When the restaurant called to confirm, they needed a card on file for parties over 6, so I gave them mine." "But," Daniel sputtered, "you didn't say we said we were taking you out." "No, Daniel." I kept my voice calm, clear. "You said you were taking me out. You sent a message in the family chat saying you'd treat me. But when the restaurant called me, not you, me, to confirm a reservation you'd made under my name, they asked for a card. And I gave it to them because I always do, because I always smooth things over, because I always make it work." The waitress stood perfectly still, the billfold in her hands. Brianna's face had gone white. I could see her brain working, calculating. The ribeyes, the lobster tails, the cocktails, the 3 desserts, all of it adding up to a number she clearly hadn't prepared for. "The total is $647, the waitress said quietly. Brianna made a small sound in her throat. Daniel looked like he might be sick. $647 for one dinner. For people who'd asked me for $600 6 months ago because they couldn't make rent. "Mom, we didn't know," Daniel said, his voice rising. "You should have told us. We would have..." "Would have what?" I interrupted. "Paid attention when you made the reservation? Called the restaurant to confirm? Put your own card down? Or would you have just told me not to give them my card in the first place?" He had no answer. I turned to the waitress. "What do you think, dear? Should I run it on the card they didn't know I'd put down for the dinner they said they were paying for?" The waitress's lips twitched slightly. "That's entirely up to you, ma'am." Brianna found her voice. "Mom, we can pay. We can Venmo you right now. We can..." "Can you?" I asked simply. "Can you Venmo me $647 right now?" She went silent. The answer was clearly no. I looked around the table. At Marcus, who'd ordered the most expensive steak. At Kelly with her $40 sea base. At Ashley and Tyler with their matching $55 fillets. At Brianna with her lobster mac and cheese. At Daniel with his lobster tail upgrade. At the corner seat where they'd put me. At the 2 hours where no one said happy birthday. At the performance they'd put on for everyone except me. "You know what hurts the most?" I said softly. "Not that you sat me at the corner. Not that you didn't toast me. Not even that you whispered about not letting me order too much." I paused. "It's that you believed you were being generous. You performed generosity all night. For your friends, for social media, for everyone watching. And you did it with my money." Daniel's eyes were red. "Mom, I'm so sorry. You didn't mean to get caught," I said. "There's a difference." The silence at our table was deafening. I could feel eyes from other tables watching now, pretending not to watch, but clearly listening. "Ms. Cardaway?" the waitress prompted gently. I took a breath. "Yes, please run it on my card. I'll take care of this one." Relief and shame washed over Daniel's face in equal measure. "But," I continued, looking directly at him, "this is the last time. From now on, if I'm paying, I pick my seat. And if you're going to perform generosity, do it with your own money, not mine." I stood up, carefully settling Emma into her chair. She was fully awake now, watching everything with wide eyes. "I'll meet you at the front," I told the waitress. I picked up my purse, Emma's napkin card safe inside it, and walked toward the entrance. Behind me, I heard urgent whispered conversation. Daniel saying something. Brianna's voice higher pitched than normal. Marcus muttering to Kelly. But I didn't turn around. I walked with my back straight, my head up to the host stand where the waitress met me with the receipt. "Good for you," she whispered as I signed. I added a generous tip, 30%. She'd handled this with such grace. Then I signed my name at the bottom, Heather Cardaway, the woman who paid for the dinner, the woman who sat at the corner, the woman who finally stood up. When I turned around, Daniel was there. "Mom, please, can we talk outside?" I looked at my son, at the man I'd raised alone, at the boy who'd forgotten how to see me. "All right," I said. "Let's talk." The November air hit sharp and cold when we stepped outside. The parking lot was half empty, amber streetlights casting long shadows. I could see my old Honda 3 rows over, the car that needed new brakes, the car I couldn't afford to fix properly because I'd spent my savings on them. Daniel walked ahead of me, then turned. His hands were shoved deep in his pockets, shoulders hunched like he was trying to make himself smaller. "Mom," he started, "you should have told us. We really thought we were paying. We wanted to treat you." The laugh escaped before I could stop it. Short, sharp, humorless. "Did you? Did you really?" "Yes." His voice cracked. "Why didn't you say something when the restaurant called?" "I did say something, Daniel. I called you that same day and mentioned the reservation was under my name. Do you remember what you said?" He stared at me. "You said, 'Yeah, Mom, it's all taken care of.' And then you hung up because Brianna needed help with something. You didn't ask questions. You didn't clarify. You just assumed it would work out because it always does." I took a breath. "Because I always make it work out. That's not fair. Isn't it?" My voice was sharper now. "When was the last time you checked? When was the last time you confirmed anything? When was the last time you thought about the logistics of treating someone instead of just announcing you were doing it?" He had no answer. The restaurant door opened behind us. Brianna stepped out, her arms wrapped around herself against the cold. Her mascara had run slightly. She walked over to stand next to Daniel. "Heather," she said. "Still not Mom. Never Mom. We're so sorry. We didn't mean to make you feel bad." "You're sorry I feel bad," I said. "That's different from being sorry for what you did." Her eyebrows furrowed. "What?" "You're apologizing for my reaction, not for your actions." I looked between them. "Do you even know what you did wrong?" Daniel opened his mouth, but I held up my hand. "You sat me at the corner of my own birthday dinner. You didn't greet me when I arrived. Emma did. You didn't toast me once all night. You toasted Daniel's promotion. You toasted family, but you never toasted me. You performed generosity for everyone watching while spending my money. And when I heard Brianna whisper, 'Not to let me order too much,' I almost laughed, because you had no idea whose card was on file." "I didn't mean," Brianna started. "Yes, you did," I interrupted. "You meant every word. You were worried about the bill, so you tried to control what I ordered on my birthday, at my dinner, that you weren't actually paying for." Brianna's face crumpled. Real tears this time, I thought, or maybe just shame. "How much have we taken from you?" Daniel asked quietly. "Total." The number was burned into my brain. $23,847 over 3 years. He actually staggered backward like I'd hit him. "What?" "I kept track," I said. "Not to weaponize it, but because I needed to understand. I needed to see why I felt so empty despite giving everything." 23,000. Daniel's voice faded. "The apartment deposit, the car repairs, the wedding costs, the furniture, the rent when Brianna was between jobs for 6 months, the groceries, the emergency root canal, Emma's birthday party at the trampoline park, all of it." I counted on my fingers. "I have a spreadsheet if you want to see the itemized list." "We'll pay you back," Daniel said desperately. "All of it. I don't want your money, Daniel." "Then what do you want?" "I want you to see me." The words burst out louder than I intended. "I want to be more than a bank account, more than someone you call when you need something. I want to matter when you don't need money." Brianna spoke up, her voice trembling. "We do see you. Your family." "Am I?" I turned to her. "Tell me, Brianna, when was the last time you called me just to talk? When was the last time you invited me over when you didn't need a favor? When was the last time you posted a photo with me that wasn't positioned to make you look good?" She went silent. That's what I thought. I softened my voice slightly. "I don't think you're bad people, but I think you learned that I would always say yes, always help, always pay, and that became the entire relationship. I taught you that I had no boundaries, so you stopped looking for them." "We never asked you to give us everything," Brianna said weakly. "You asked every single time," I corrected. "You just made it sound like I was choosing to give, like I was volunteering. but you knew I couldn't say no. You knew I was afraid of losing you." Daniel's face was wet now. "You won't lose me, Mom. You're my mother." "Being your mother isn't enough, Daniel. Love isn't enough if it's only one direction. Love requires action, requires seeing the other person, requires celebrating them, not just taking from them." I pulled my purse higher on my shoulder. Emma's napkin card was still tucked safely inside, the only person tonight who'd actually celebrated me. "I raised you alone after your father died," I said, my voice finally breaking. "I worked 2 jobs so you could go to college. I never missed a single soccer game. I was there for every milestone, every moment that mattered." I wiped my eyes. And tonight, on my birthday, I didn't even get a seat next to my own son. "Mom," Daniel reached for me. I stepped back. "I need you to understand something. This isn't about the money. It's about being seen, being valued, being treated like I matter." "You do matter," he said. "Then show me. Not tonight when you got caught, but from now on, every day. Show me that I'm more than a checkbook. Show me that you value me when you don't need something." Brianna wiped her eyes. "How do we do that?" "You start by stopping," I said simply. "Stop asking for money unless it's a real emergency. Medical, not lifestyle. Stop assuming I'll pay. Stop performing generosity with my resources, and start including me in your life because you want to, not because you have to." Daniel nodded, his face crumpling. "I'm so sorry, Mom, for all of it, for taking advantage, for not seeing you, for tonight." "I know you are." I looked at him, really looked at him, saw Tom's eyes, saw the boy I'd raised, saw the man who'd lost his way. But sorry isn't enough anymore. I need to see change. I walked toward my car. Behind me, I heard Daniel call out, "Mom, wait!" But I kept walking. I needed him to sit with this. Needed him to feel the weight of what had been said. Needed him to understand that apologies were worthless without action. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw them standing in the parking lot, small figures under the streetlights, looking lost. Good. Let them be lost for a while. Let them figure out how to find their way back to me without using money as the map. I drove home with the windows cracked, cold air clearing my head. And for the first time in 3 years, I didn't worry about whether they were okay. I worried about whether I was okay. And the answer, surprisingly, was yes. I was starting to be okay. I woke up the next morning to silence. Complete, profound silence. No phone ringing with emergencies, no texts with urgent requests, just the sound of birds outside my window and my own breathing. I lay in bed for a long moment, staring at the ceiling. The same ceiling Tom and I had painted together 30 years ago, the same bedroom where we'd dreamed about our future, our son's future, the life we'd build. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I picked it up, half expecting an angry message. Instead, I found 3 texts. Daniel, sent at 3:18 a.m. "Mom, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about everything you said. You're right, about all of it. Can we talk when you're ready?" Brianna, sent at 8:03 a.m. "Heather, I'm sorry. Not sorry if we hurt you, but sorry that we hurt you. Sorry for what we did. I need to do better." Diana, sent at 8:47 a.m. "I'm bringing coffee. Don't argue." I smiled at Diana's message. Leave it to my sister to know exactly what I needed. She arrived 40 minutes later with a thermos of coffee and a bag of pastries from the bakery near her house. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd calculated how much I'd given Daniel, where I'd cried over my spreadsheet, where I'd made the decision to finally stand up for myself. "Tell me everything," Diana said, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. So I did. Every detail. The corner seat, the whispered comment, the $600 bill, the parking lot confrontation. All of it spilled out while Diana listened, nodding, occasionally reaching across to squeeze my hand. When I finished, She sat back and smiled. I'm so proud of you. I should have done it years ago. Maybe, but you did it now. That's what matters. Diana took a sip of her coffee. You know what I did 5 years ago? What? I stopped giving my kids money unless they truly needed it. Real emergencies only. Medical bills, job loss, that kind of thing. Not, I want a new TV or we need a vacation. What happened? They were furious at first, Diana admitted. Called me selfish. Told me I didn't understand how hard it was for young people today. My daughter didn't talk to me for 3 months. My stomach clenched. 3 months? But then she came back, Diana continued, because our relationship was real. It existed beyond money. And once she realized I wasn't going to fund her lifestyle, she figured it out on her own, got a better job, made a budget, started saving. And now? Diana smiled. Now when she calls me, it's just to talk, just because she misses me, and that's worth more than any amount of money I could have given her. Were you scared? I asked. That you'd lose her? Terrified, Diana said honestly, but I realized something. If my relationship with my children only existed because I funded their lives, then it wasn't a real relationship. It was a transaction, and I deserved better than that. I felt tears prick my eyes. I've been so afraid of losing Daniel. I know, honey, but you can't lose something you never really had. He needs to choose you, not your wallet, you. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, drinking coffee, watching the morning light move across my kitchen floor. What are you going to do now? Diana asked. I took a breath. I'm going to live my life. For me. That afternoon, I opened my laptop and did something I'd been putting off for 2 years. I booked a trip or two. Chapter 9. The Aftermath and the New Normal. I woke up the next morning in my quiet house and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not happiness exactly, not relief. Just peace. The kind that comes when you finally stop fighting a battle you were never meant to win. The sun was streaming through my bedroom window, the window Tom and I had picked together when we bought this house 30 years ago. I lay there for a moment listening to the silence. No phone ringing with emergency requests, no guilt gnawing at my stomach. Just quiet. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I picked it up and saw 3 text messages. The first was from Daniel, sent at 2:47 a.m. Mom, can we talk when you're ready, please? The second was from Brianna, sent at 8:15 a.m. Heather, I'm sorry if we made you feel bad last night. That wasn't our intention. I stared at that message for a long moment. I'm sorry if we made you feel bad, not I'm sorry for what we did, not I'm sorry for treating you that way. An apology for my feelings, not for their actions. The third was from Diana. Coffee, I need to hear everything. I smiled. Leave it to Diana to know exactly what I needed. I texted her back, your place or mine? Mine. I'll put on a pot. An hour later, I was sitting at Diana's kitchen table, a steaming mug of coffee in my hands, telling her everything, every detail. The corner seat, the whispered comment, the $600 bill, the parking lot confrontation. Diana listened without interrupting. When I finished, she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you, she said. I should have done it years ago, I said. Maybe, Diana said. But you did it now. That's what matters. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Diana said, you know what I did 5 years ago? I stopped giving my kids money unless they truly needed it. Real need, not wants. Medical emergencies, job loss, that kind of thing. Best decision I ever made. What happened? I asked. They were mad at first, Diana said. Called me selfish. Told me I didn't understand how hard it was for young people today. But you know what? Within 6 months, they figured it out. Got better jobs, made budgets, started appreciating the help they did get instead of expecting it. Were you scared? I asked. That they'd stop talking to you? Terrified, Diana admitted. But I realized something. If my relationship with my kids only existed because I funded their lives, then it wasn't a real relationship. It was a transaction, and I deserved better than that. I felt tears prick my eyes. I've been so scared of losing Daniel. I know, Diana said gently, but honey, you can't lose something you never really had. He needs to choose you, not your wallet, you. I nodded, wiping my eyes. What do I do now? You wait, Diana said. You let him come to you, and when he does, you set boundaries. Real ones, not suggestions. Boundaries. I stayed at Diana's until noon, then drove home. My phone had several missed calls from Daniel, 2 more texts from Brianna, and a voicemail from Marcus of all people, saying something about family misunderstandings. I didn't respond to any of them. Not yet. Instead, I opened my laptop and did something I'd been putting off for 2 years. I booked a trip to Italy, not the fancy tour Tom and I had planned. I couldn't afford that anymore, not after everything I'd given Daniel, but a modest week in Rome, staying in a small hotel, walking the streets we'd dreamed about together. The confirmation email arrived in my inbox, and I felt something loosen in my chest. This was for me. Just me. Nobody else. Then I called the roofer and scheduled an estimate. I looked at my budget and figured out how much I could save per month if I stopped sending money to Daniel. The number was substantial, enough for the roof, enough for a new car eventually, enough to live the life Tom had wanted me to have. A week passed. Daniel called 3 times. I let it go to voicemail. On the 4th call, I answered. Mom, he said, and his voice sounded different, smaller, humbler. Please, can we talk face to face? What do you want to talk about? I asked. I want to apologize, he said. Really apologize. Not over the phone. Brianna and we want to take you to lunch. Really take you. We're paying. I can send you a Venmo right now for last week's dinner if that helps you believe me. I don't need a Venmo, Daniel, I said. I need respect. There was a pause. Then, I know, you're right. Can we try again, please? I considered it. Considered saying no, making him wait longer. But I wasn't trying to punish him. I was trying to teach him. All right, I said. But things are different now. You understand that? Yes, he said quickly. Yes, I understand. 2 weeks later, we met at a small cafe near my house. Just the 3 of us, Heather, Daniel, and Brianna. Emma was with Ashley for the afternoon. I arrived right on time and found them already there, waiting outside. Before we even went in, Daniel walked up to the counter and paid. He came back and showed me the receipt. Paid for, he said, before we even sit down. I nodded. Thank you. The hostess seated us at a table by the window, the center seat, not the corner. We sat down, and for a moment nobody knew what to say. Finally, Brianna spoke. Heather, Mom. She paused, like the word was unfamiliar in her mouth. I'm sorry. Really, genuinely sorry. Not for how you felt, but for how we treated you. I looked at her. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying recently. She looked younger without her perfect makeup, more vulnerable. Thank you, I said. Daniel leaned forward. Mom, I've been thinking about what you said, about the $23,000, about how we only called when we needed something, about putting you in the corner. His voice cracked. You're right. About all of it. I know I am, I said calmly. He nodded. I talked to a therapist this week about our relationship, about the patterns. She said. He stopped, swallowed hard. She said I've been treating you like a parent when it's convenient and a bank when it's not, and that's not okay. No, I said, it's not. Brianna spoke up. I never realized how much you'd given us. Daniel told me the total and I couldn't believe it. All that money you needed for yourself, and we just kept taking it. I kept giving it, I corrected. That's on me, too. I taught you that you could take without consequences. But we should have known better, Daniel said. We're adults. We should have seen what we were doing. The waitress came and took our orders. We kept it simple, sandwiches, coffee. Nobody ordered the most expensive thing on the menu. Nobody performed for anyone. When she left, I said, I need to tell you both something. I'm not your safety net anymore. I'm not your emergency fund. If you need help, real emergencies, I'll consider it. But I won't fund your lifestyle. I won't pay for things you should be paying for yourselves. Daniel nodded. That's fair. And, I continued, I need to be treated like family, not like an obligation, not like someone you manage or tolerate, like someone you actually want in your life. We do want you in our lives, Brianna said, and for the first time, I believed her. Then show me, I said. Call me when you don't need anything. Visit me because you miss me, not because you need a favor. Include me in decisions, not just in emergencies. We will, Daniel said. I promise. I looked at him, at his father's eyes in his face, at the boy I'd raised alone, who'd grown into a man who'd forgotten how to see me. I'm going to hold you to that, I said. We ate lunch. We talked. Real talking, not performing. Daniel told me about work, about struggles I didn't know he was having. Brianna talked about wanting to go back to school, about feeling lost in her life. I listened. I didn't offer money. I didn't offer to fix things. I just listened. When we left, Daniel hugged me. I love you, Mom. I love you too, I said. But love isn't enough. Love requires action. I know, he said. I'm going to do better. I drove home feeling something I hadn't felt in years, hopeful, not naive, not expecting miracles, but hopeful that maybe, finally, we could have a real relationship. That evening, I was organizing old photos when I found a box of pictures from when Daniel was young. Tom coaching his soccer team, Daniel's graduation, the three of us at the beach, Tom's arm around my shoulders, Daniel grinning gap-toothed at the camera. I finally did it, I said to Tom's image. I stood up for myself. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, Emma stood there with Ashley. Emma was holding a large piece of poster board covered in glitter and stickers and drawings. Grandma, Emma said, beaming, I made this for your real birthday. The poster said, Happy Birthday, Grandma, in huge crooked letters. Around it were drawings of flowers, hearts, a cake, and a stick figure that was clearly me, seated in the middle of a table with other stick figures around me. Mommy said your birthday dinner wasn't very good, Emma said, so I wanted to make it better. My throat tightened. Come in, sweetheart, both of you. Ashley smiled apologetically. She's been working on this all week. Wouldn't let anyone see it until it was perfect. We went into the kitchen. I put cookies on a plate, the kind Tom used to love, and made hot chocolate for Emma. Can I help you bake sometime? Emma asked, swinging her legs from the chair. Of course, I said. Whenever you want. Can I sit anywhere I want? I laughed, really laughed. Yes, baby, you can sit anywhere you want. After they left, I hung Emma's poster on my refrigerator. Then I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of tea and looked at the photos I'd spread out. Tom smiling at the camera, Daniel as a boy, Emma's gap-toothed grin, my life, captured in moments. I thought about the birthday dinner, about the corner seat, about finally standing up and claiming my worth. And I realized, sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the truth. And sometimes, the people who love you need to taste the bill before they appreciate the meal. I had spent years funding my own invisibility, paying to be pushed aside. But that was over now. From now on, if I was paying, I picked my seat, and I was done sitting in corners.